Thank you for your time, even though we are not on time. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Miami Total Football Radio, the show, also known as Miami Total Football Radio. The show, I am Franco Panizo, your usual co host, joined with a different layout this time. Alonso Contreras, who we still don't have a nickname for. I still haven't come up with something. It hasn't flowed naturally yet with Alonso in terms of the nickname. But Alonso, you're in South Florida, as we can tell by your layout. We don't have the Last Supper behind you this time. So how are you doing down here in nice South Florida?
I mean, it's hot. It was so hot today. I'm in Deerfield, like 20 minutes from Fort Lauderdale, but ready to talk about last home game and the next home game for Inter Miami.
We will talk about the last home game for Inter Miami, which was a 4-3 loss to FC Dallas. We will also talk, of course, most importantly, about tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Inter Miami versus the Vancouver Whitecaps in the second and decisive leg in the Concacaf Champions Cup semi-finals series between the two MLS teams. Inter Miami is in a 2-0 hole, Alonso, after the first leg loss, which we will also talk about because we have not had a pod since before that first leg against Vancouver. So a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect. I'm going to start trying to be a little bit more tight about our time because we always end up going long. I know the people in the comment section, the listeners, the viewers, they enjoyed it, but I want to tighten it up. So we're going to get straight into it, Alonso. And again, thank you for your time. And
Thank you for the time.
we'll start with, I don't know where to begin. I guess we'll
The
go in.
formation.
No, we're going in chronological order. We'll start with, well, I guess we'll start. You know what? We'll just jump right into it because it's going to be a hodgepodge. There's not really we can go in order here. It's just kind of the big talking points tomorrow, everything that happened going into tomorrow. And Nader Sanchez in the comment section says, "Hi, nice to see you guys. Thank you for your time, Alonso." All right, so we'll start with Inter Miami at home at Chase Stadium on Wednesday night, needing to pull off another comeback against the Vancouver Whitecaps after having to do so in the last series, the quarterfinal series against LAFC. This time, Inter Miami is in a bigger hole. Instead of being down 1-0 with no away goals scored in the opening leg, this time they gave up 2 goals in Vancouver and got no away goals. Now, Alonso, last time, this is going to be interesting. Last time we talked about whether Inter Miami could do it. It seemed like an uphill climb, and they did pull it off. They just pulled it off. They pulled off a 3-1 victory against LAFC at home, despite going down early in that game, despite giving up an away goal that meant they had to score 3. They did it behind the back and behind the effort of one Lionel Messi, who had 2 goals and 1 assist in that match, if I am not mistaken. But the deficit is bigger. The opponent is tougher. I will say fully here, I will acknowledge that I underestimated this Vancouver Whitecaps team in the preview pod last week. They're a very good team. You could see it in last week's match. A well-drilled machine. Again, better than the sum of their parts. Maybe not a whole lot of star power, but the way that they play together, the way that the idea is clear, and the way that they play with this confidence. I mean, it caused Inter Miami some trouble last week, and it makes Wednesday night's task even more difficult. Alonso, you and I have a bet. Tenemos una apuesta that we did in our WhatsApp group. We have un pollo a la brasa, Peruvian rotisserie chicken, on the line, whether it happens or not again. Initially, this thing right here, this little whiteboard said, "Do you believe?" But I took it off And I went with this message, which I will talk about in a little bit. Alonso, share with the people your thoughts because you've made it clear in our bet, and the loser will pay this bet. We will have proof that the loser will pay this bet. And we'll pay some Peruvian rotisserie chicken con ensalada y papas, todo rico con sus ajicitos. All right. So, Alonso, are you of the belief that Inter Miami can pull this off or not? Which side of the fence are you on this bet?
Well, Inter Miami, last time against LAFC, they got 60 minutes to score 3 goals. Now they have 90 minutes to score 3 goals. So I believe Inter Miami can pull it off and be the final in Miami, and it's gonna be a Chase Stadium. But that's what we bet. Jose Armando and Andrea will be there too. They told me this morning they want their own chicken. I'm like, man, you're crazy.
They're not even
But
in the bet. They're
I
not
know, I
even
know.
if they're not
But
here in
they're the
attendance,
witness.
they're
They're
not
the
in the bet.
witness.
If
They're
they
the
listen,
witness.
if they're not here today to put their hands to the flame with their prediction, they're not part of the bet. And
But I mean, I believe that Inter Miami have uh, the right weapons uh, to pull this off. But tactically, I don't know. I think his weakness is Javier Mascherano, because I mean, 3 games, 0 goals, 0 assists for Messi. Also speak how Mascherano plays. And I mean, be honest, tomorrow Vancouver, th- they don't have the pressure. The pressure is on Inter Miami, but we'll see how it goes.
I should give you a yellow card because you just jumped all over the place and just beat me to like 5 different topics. But it's okay. It's okay. I won't give you it. I'll just give you a talking to on this one. So Alonso says yes, he believes that Inter Miami will pull it off. Right? You think that they will get it done, that they will advance because they could win
Yes,
tomorrow and not advance, right? So they will advance. Okay.
yes, sir.
I'm going to put my hands to the fire here early in the pod because, again, we're trying to make it a little tighter, a little more concise and succinct. I am going to say that I do not think they get it done. Do they have the ability, the talent, the quality, the know-how, la jerarquía to get it done? Yes, they have all of that. But will they get it done again in a game where they can't really give up a goal? If they do, then they have to score 4. I mean, it's a hard task, man. If last time was an uphill climb, this is Mount Everest, and there's snow at the top because the Whitecaps are waiting. It's a big task. Tom agrees with me in the comment section. Says no chance this time. Messi alone cannot do it. Daniel Montaigne, I think that this is Daniel Montaigne's first time commenting, says I think it's very possible. Do you guys think Messi will play against the New York Red Bulls? Yeah, probably. I don't see why he wouldn't win or lose tomorrow. Kay in the comment section says they are not pulling it off. There's just no way they do it. I don't see it happening. So I think a lot of Inter Miami fans will say that they think it can happen because clearly they're fans of the team. But maybe the more pragmatic or the more realistic ones that don't have that blind faith in the team will say that it's tough to envision them advancing. Because I mean, Alonso, do you think Vancouver scores tomorrow? Or are you telling me Vancouver doesn't score tomorrow?
No.
So Inter Miami has shown you enough that in transition, in a game where the onus is on them, you just said it yourself, the onus is on them to find the goals. The pressure is on them to turn this series around. So you're telling me that a team that has to attack, that is going to leave spaces in behind, that team is going to do enough defensively to keep a clean sheet?
Look, this game could be both either two ways. Or Vancouver pressure Inter Miami, and try to block the connection between Busi and Messi, or they wait part of the bus and wait for counterattacks because we know the center backs from Inter Miami are slow, so this is not a surprise. Even the right fullback Cello, so they're gonna leave a lot of spaces. And with LAFC, Messi shows that hey, You give me spaces, I can go through your players like nothing. But also the defenders needs to be on point. This game is a full concentration is on the defensive side. You need to let Messi worry about this, and I think he's motivated from what happened at the end of the game with the fan showing the Portugal jersey. So when you motivate or piece off the goat, great things you can expect too.
So because there was a fan with a Ronaldo jersey, that's why Messi's motivated for tomorrow.
Yeah, because when you see Messi talking to fans like that, like argue with the fans, he told the
I've,
fan,
he
"Hey,
did it. He did it. He did it in preseason when the Mexican fans started cheering or jeering. Sorry,
Mexican fans
jeering him.
is yeah, but Mexico and Argentina, I don't know why the Mexicans hate Argentina. They're not at that level of the national team. I don't know.
Well,
It's a different topic.
but I'm just saying, I don't think that's why Messi's motivated going into tomorrow. I think he'll be motivated because his team needs him. They're facing elimination. They're on the brink of elimination. So he needs to have a good match, as do many players on the team, as does head coach Javier Mascherano, who this past weekend did not cover himself in glory in the 4-3 loss to FC Dallas, a defeat that ended Inter Miami's unbeaten start to the MLS regular season. We will again dive into that game a little bit later on, but we want to focus mostly on this Vancouver series. Alonso, what did you see in the first leg? What did you see from both teams in a match that ended 2-0 in Vancouver's favor, with Inter Miami generating little to nothing in the final third? What did you see in that game?
You just said it. The problem with Inter Miami it goes from the tactical point of Mascherano not be able to set a structure or a way for Inter Miami to connect you. Yeah, you have Messi, you have Suarez, but the way Mascherano plays is too risky for a team that needs to score, and the defense only can hold so much. And when you lose the ball in the defense, and you are depending on the defenders, but you have Messi, you don't want to risk it. Things like this is gonna happen. Like how they want to score, you are protecting the 1-0. I don't know why. I don't know why you're not risking it. And the second goal comes a lack of concentration. You cannot, if you're not scoring, come on, they cannot score on you. That's two goals, when you have Messi and Suarez.
I'll tell you what I saw. I saw an Inter Miami team in the first 15, 20 minutes that looked good, that had the ball, that was dictating the tempo, that looked the better side. They didn't generate a whole lot, but away from home, to play like that in the first 20 minutes was positive. Then a goal comes, seemingly out of nowhere. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been on a throw-in, that leads to a Brian White finish, who we said was, of course, the El Nueve, the number 9, the guy who was the biggest goal-scoring threat for Vancouver. He scores. After that, the Whitecaps seemed, in my opinion, to gain a whole lot of confidence. And Inter Miami, from that point forward, really started to struggle with its belief, with its ideas. You didn't see any real clear tactical game plan for what they were trying to do. Inter Miami had possession for large stretches. They still bossed the lion's share of having the ball, but it didn't lead to anything. It was possession without production. Or, as I jokingly told somebody close to me or some people close to me the other day, it was possession without penetration. And if you have possession without penetration, then you're just playing with yourself. And Alonso, Inter Miami could not generate much. Messi, on different occasions, tried to go at it alone against 4 or 5 defenders and would easily get stripped of the ball, leading to quick transitions, easy losses of possession. It just wasn't a good game for them in Vancouver. Now, Javier Mascherano can say all he wants about how they had possession and the game was on their terms, but you can have the ball you want. You still have, and I'm a guy who, if I was a head coach, I would want to win the possession back. That's what I would want. but you have to do something with that possession. Inter Miami did next to nothing with that possession last week. That has to change tomorrow. I imagine we will see a more aggressive Inter Miami. I imagine we'll see them throw numbers forward, but that does leave a risk at the back. That does leave the chance that Vancouver can hit you on the counter and score. Maybe Mascherano doesn't see it this way. Maybe Mascherano tomorrow throws out his strongest lineup possible, but doesn't go gung-ho from the first minute. Maybe he will take a more patient approach. Listen, Inter Miami just has to score 2 to force extra time. They don't have to score 3 in the 90 minutes. They just have to score 2 and not give up any. I mean, if they open themselves up, they're going to leave themselves exposed. I don't think I see enough in this defense. Not because the defense isn't good, just because the team isn't collectively good enough
now also
to keep the clean sheet.
now also the midfielders, because we mentioned before the first leg, the Whitecaps, they might not have players with big names, but they have Cubas from Paraguay, Vite from Ecuador. They're both national team players, CONMEBOL. They're not going to be afraid of La Familia. They just sing the same song all night. So they're not going to be, I mean, I'm sorry, but the stadium is not loud enough to support this team, like to make them feel uncomfortable. I didn't see fans at the Vancouver training, like making them feel like, hey, you're in Miami. So, like I said, Mascherano needs to worry about the midfielders because they might not be Busquets' career path, but they are from CONMEBOL. They have experience. They play at a high level, which is a national teams.
Anonymous says Segovia and Allende have not been good recently. K adds, man, there's just no way Whitecaps don't score. And if they do, the Inter Miami I've been watching this season is not scoring 4 goals. And he put a laughing emoji, or she. I don't know if K's a guy or a girl. Ace Lionel says we need to stretch out Vancouver or else tomorrow will be the same story as leg 1. Alonso, I mean, let's dive into it here. Let's get into the meat and potatoes because the first leg clearly wasn't good. And we're going to hear a soundbite from Mascherano here in just a moment, which will help us dive into the second leg. But I see you yawning. Are you procesando? Tired? We've done Miami Total Football After Dark. You are a Miami Total Football After Dark veteran. We're not even in the close to those hours, and you're over here trying to hold in yawns. What is wrong with you, my friend?
So I have to wake up today early to come to Orlando. I mean, to Miami from Orlando.
You're talking backwards too. You don't even know where you are anymore. Oh, Alonso, come on, my friend. Tomorrow you're gonna be up at this time, so get with it. Get with it. Alonso, I mean, you can point at different players, and we will. But it starts with Javier Mascherano, right? It starts there.
Yes,
this team has become better defensively. And I know people will still point the finger at the defense for giving up 2 goals in the first leg or giving up 4 goals this past weekend. But the attack didn't score in the first leg in Vancouver, just like it did not score against LAFC in the first leg of the quarterfinal series. Now, that's a reflection of the players as much as it is for the manager. Mascherano's tactics have solidified the defense, Alonso. I think everybody can, or most everybody can agree to that. But it has come at the expense of the attack.
I want to point something that Mascherano said at the conference today when they asked him about Busquets. And this is what I think about Mascherano, why it's so difficult for him to create chances for Inter Miami to score. He said that when he went to Barcelona, he went to learn from Busquets. So now that he's coaching Busquets, he can say nothing to him. So what I'm thinking, or what made me think that the quote that he said is, so basically here you are a defensive coach because you said it. I'm not making an assumption that way you play. You said that you are more a defensive player. Coach. So now you're not telling, obviously, by the way you say, you're not telling Alba, Messi, Suarez, and Busquets how to play. You just made them your defensive mentality to adjust to players that are very offensive. And I think that's why it's not working, because you're not telling them nothing, but at the same time, you're trying to manage these other players as your tactics that doesn't even match with the players that you have, that you're not talking to them.
So I don't know if I understood what you were trying to say. I think what you're trying to say is that he's not
He's
giving
not being
them
a good coach.
he's not giving them tactical
Exactly.
instructions in
It's
the
like
attack.
you play how you play. He said it many times. Oh, what can I say? What can I say to Messi? Now he say about Busquets the same thing. So you probably telling the team play to Busquets, play to Messi, and he's gonna play with Suarez and play to Messi because he's gonna find Jordi Alba.
Maybe. I mean that could be one way to look at it. I mean, I have seen Messi in the last few games, or at least the last couple of games that he's played in. Not this past weekend against FC Dallas, he did not feature there, but in his more recent appearances, you see him dropping deeper and off to the right to go find the spaces and to go find the ball. And is that because that's how he's feeling the game out? Because he has the tactical freedom to do that? Or is that an instruction by Mascherano? I mean, that's a good question to ask Javier Mascherano. But I mean, I don't disagree with you. Look, I think any coach, not any coach, a lot of coaches in this team, I mean, how much can you really teach Messi, Suarez, Busquets, and Jordi Alba? Now, does that mean that you can't give them tactical roles that you want them to fulfill in your collective team? Absolutely not. Now, is he doing enough of that? That's a good question. That's a good point you bring up.
He has no experience.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. I imagine there's some role, there's some idea, there's some tactical responsibility with the ball, but maybe you're right. Maybe he's just saying, you guys feel each other out, feel the game out, and have at it.
Okay, why Tata Martino work offensively? Because he made the team play not at the same rhythm, but play offensively. Because we said it many times here at the stadium, with Tata Martino Inter Miami was a team that whoever scored the most goals is gonna win. You score 4 against Inter Miami, they're gonna score 5. You score 2, they're gonna score 3. Here, we don't see that. So Tata Martino at some point was like, okay, I'm not gonna coach you how to play because we're talking about probably the best players on each position in their era. So now I'm gonna use these other 6, 7, 8 players to help him and offensively. But Mascherano is like, I know you defense and let them attack. So there's no connection. That's why we don't find a midfielder. That's why we question why Fafa is not playing. He's scoring goals. Why Ian Fry is not playing when he is better. I mean, he's shown now that he's a better.
I mean, hold on. I don't know if Fafa's been scoring goals, but he has one goal. He scored one goal against Atlanta, and then
Sunday.
It was officially ruled an own goal, officially. So, but I think the bigger point is that collectively, no se ve fútbol, no se ve buen fútbol, no se ve una idea clara. On the attack, you're just not seeing a clear-cut idea, a clear identity. How does Inter Miami want to attack, Alonso? Is it through the wings? Do they want to attack the through balls down the middle? I mean, how is this Inter Miami? What is their game plan? What is their offensive model aside from get the ball to Messi? Is it just get the ball to Messi and that's it?
Yes, because I was going to say that. I see this Inter Miami like Argentina before before Scaloni. You find Messi. So it's easy to mark. Okay, let's put more players close to Messi. I mean, he's gonna dribble probably 1, 2, but not 3, 4, 5. And he hasn't passed the ball. He gets frustrated. The players, Segovia, you don't see Segovia that much because he gets the ball, play to Messi. You don't pass to Messi like Fafa does, he gets mad.
So that's something that needs to be corrected, right? That's something that has to be resolved and figured out. They have to find a better collective funcionamiento, a better collective functioning. They have to find a better, I don't want to say balance, but a better formula for how to attack as a team. Now, if we touch on individual performances, right? We've talked about the collective. We're talking about Mascherano. We're talking about the tactics. Individually, Luis Suarez looks 5 years older than he did last year. He does not look good. He does not look to be at a good level. I asked Javier Mascherano about his current run of form because Suarez hasn't scored in, I think it's 8 games now, if I'm not mistaken, since the penalty kick he scored in the away leg of the round of 16 against Cavalier FC in Jamaica, where he scores a penalty kick. He hasn't scored since then in all competitions. And more so than just the lack of goals, it's his overall performance levels, his overall rendimiento that doesn't look good and has led to a lot of questionings or a lot of questions from Inter Miami supporters, rightfully so. The issue is there is no proven number 9 behind him. Alan Obando was brought here to be the backup number 9, but he is a young Ecuadorian striker who still has a lot of learning to do. We caught a glimpse of him in this past week's match. He scored a goal against FC Dallas in his first start, his first MLS goal, his first Inter Miami goal. But he still looks very raw, still very raw. So there's not a real proven number 9 option behind Suarez right now, which maybe is one of the reasons why Mascherano continues to turn to Suarez, because there just isn't another true option there. Not one he confides in or he trusts in. Whose fault is that? That's a damn good question, Alonso. Whose fault is that? You tell me.
Beckham.
Why is that Beckham's fault?
I mean, who's the GM?
Who's the GM? Who's the sporting director?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get into it, we can get into it right now. I mean, we are trying to keep the show tighter. So, I mean, listen, I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, be it on Twitter tomorrow or here in the podcast now, or for the people that listen to this after the fact in their cars or while they're going out for a run or wherever they listen to the podcast. This says, title of this show is Messi on the Brink of Elimination. This whole project, and I said this over the weekend, this whole project is Lionel Messi's project. Yes, Inter Miami funds it. Jorge Mas, David Beckham put down the money. They put down the overall plan. But this is the Messi project. Guillermo Hoyos is the sporting director, unofficially, because it's never been announced, right? Hasn't been publicly announced for a long time. Like he's been in that position for at least a couple of months now, if I'm not mistaken, and it hasn't been announced that he's the sporting director. Inter Miami has never come out and publicly said that. There's never been a press release. No hubo ni un comunicado diciendo Guillermo Hoyos es el director deportivo. That hasn't happened. But who is Guillermo Hoyos, for those of you that don't know? He is somebody that coached Messi at the, if I'm not mistaken, the youth levels at Barcelona, who Messi in an interview said was his footballing godfather, su padrino. So you have Messi's padrino as the sporting director. You have Javier Mascherano, a rookie head coach who has never before managed a club team,
professional club team, yeah,
as the head coach of Inter Miami. Mascherano is Messi's former teammate. He is Messi's former national team teammate as well, club teammate at Barcelona. I mean, if you think that Guillermo Hoyos got his position just by coincidence, and Mascherano got his position by sheer coincidence, and that Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, and Sergio Busquets are also here by sheer coincidence, then I have a boat to sell you in Las Vegas, Nevada, because there's no way in hell that they all got here. There's no way in hell that they got here without Messi approving it, without Messi calling that shot. This whole thing is the Messi project. So guess what? If you want to blame someone for the way this roster is constructed, blame not only Inter Miami, blame Lionel Messi. Because guess what? If you didn't have Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez, and Sergio Busquets taking up a chunk of the budget, you could fill that out with other players. But they don't, because they can't, because the money has been allotted to those players. So if you think that they've spent X amount of money on a aging Luis Suarez, there's only I mean, don't look just at Inter Miami. Look at Lionel Messi, because that's Lionel Messi's teammate and friend. And he would not be here, most likely, if it wasn't for Lionel Messi. So that's a big part of it, Alonso. That's a big part of the whole thing. Now, on the field, if you focus on just on the field, I mean, Messi also has to deliver. Tomorrow is the type of game where he has to step up and put the team on his back. Is he capable of doing that? Absolutely. But we need to see another game from him like we saw in the second leg against LAFC. If we do not, I don't see any chance for Inter Miami tomorrow. Like, do you see, es concebible para ti that Messi does not have a good game, but Inter Miami still finds a way to advance? Do you see that at all as a possibility?
No.
So he has to have a good game. Okay, so he can't have this type of game because his last 3 appearances for Inter Miami, this is the stat line. For those of you that love stats, that want to point to numbers, this is his last 3 appearances. This does not count this weekend's game against Dallas because he did not dress. He was not in the game day roster. His last 3 games, he has 0 goals and 0 assists. This in a league, Major League Soccer league, that favorably and in a flattering manner counts secondary assist as assists. And he doesn't have any of that in his last 3 games. It's time for Messi to step up. This is his project. If they fail tomorrow, he is as much to blame as anybody else. I don't care that when people say, oh, well, he's the best player on the team. He's the only one that looks like he's actually playing well. He's el 10. All the balls go to him. They are funneled to him. He is given a lot of touches to look good on occasion. You get enough touches, you're going to pull off some plays. But if you're also not making plays, if you're also losing the ball because you're going 1-on-4 or 1-on-5, then that also is just as bad as a defender getting beat in a 1-on-1 battle on the other end. So the attackers are there to score, to assist, to create. If he's not doing enough of that, then he's got to step up. And I know that Messi fans on Twitter have been coming at me nonstop since I tweeted this, but this is how I see it. This is how I view it. Messi has to step up on the field. If you have questions about the construct of the roster off the field, Messi has a big, big part in that blueprint as well.
Especially with like last season, like you didn't make it a far wide. Now bring more players like to help you.
Mike V says Suarez is more washed than a baby bib. Mike V has the best ones, man. Like I really appreciate and enjoy Mike V's comments. Ace Lionel says, didn't Mascherano bring in Segovia and Baltasar? Sure. Let's say that that's the case. Who brought in Mascherano? How did Mascherano get here? Okay.
Messi.
So it all starts and finishes in the same place. The issue with a lot of Inter Miami fans, and I don't necessarily think it's the Miami Total Football Radio viewers and listeners. I think a lot of the viewers and listeners that we have are pretty grounded, pretty realistic in what's going on, because maybe they've been here from day one, or they just follow the team that closely. So I don't think que se ciegan a la realidad. I don't think that most of our viewers and listeners blind themselves of the reality. But a lot of Inter Miami fans, or the Messi fans that are temporary Inter Miami fans, they all want to tapar el sol con un dedo.
No.
They want to cover the sun with their thumb or with a finger, to ignore the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is, and I see it here from Anonymous, Inter Miami has become Messi and friends team. Yes, that is exactly what has happened. So if you guys have questions as to why Suarez is starting and there's no backup number 9, well, it's because he's tied to Messi. If you are curious why there's not better options in other positions, well, it's because the head coach that sees football in a different manner than maybe you do brought in players that fit his system that he rates. And guess what? That head coach is also tied to Messi. So Messi is if they succeed, if this team succeeds tomorrow, if they succeed in general as the project, it'll be because of Messi. If they fail, it will be because of Messi. We can dive into more of that because, again, I think his individual performances are something that also need to be talked about a little bit more. But let's listen to Mascherano's famous quote from the first leg in Vancouver, Canada, where he essentially put the pressure or tried to put the pressure, said that the pressure was on the Vancouver Whitecaps. Alonso, last time you and I were so excited with Jose that I forgot to do at least a rough translation of the soundbite, and I got some complaints on Twitter after the fact. So
What?
I had to remember to do that because not everybody speaks Spanish that listens to the show. So some people, when they hear the soundbite, don't know what's being said unless we at least paraphrase. And last week, apparently, we didn't even paraphrase. So we were too excited and too caught in the moment. We'll do a better job. Luckily, this quote is in English from Mascherano, so let's listen to it here.
Nothing to lose, you know. Nothing to lose. We have to try to win the game. We know that we have to score at least 2 goals and don't concede, and we will try to do it. Now, maybe the pressure is for Vancouver. They have to keep the result. So we will try to do it.
Nothing to lose, Alonso, or everything to lose for Inter Miami?
Everything to lose because he wanted to paint it like with makeup, you know, like he wanted to put I don't want to say, but he wanted to put as many makeup as many females that we know. That is nothing to lose because the pressure is on Vancouver. No, I'm pretty sure that they brought you to win trophies. Okay, because otherwise they would have left Neville, or they would have left. Leave Tata Martino. They brought you here to win trophies, and probably you thought it was easy having Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, and Suarez, but in reality, it's not. So you have a lot to lose because, the fans and the way you said that they control the team is for Messi to win. It's for Messi to bring the show. In MLS Cup 2024, you can see the audience, the viewership, everything. The MLS lost money because Inter Miami didn't reach the final. So it's gonna be the same thing. If you don't make it to the final, Concacaf is gonna lose money. Inter Miami is gonna lose money. Is gonna lose money, and the Messi era is just gonna be like a Zlatan in LA Galaxy. Just good player, amazing player, one of the best that comes here, but that's it. You didn't win nothing. The League Cup, that's it. But the most important one, which is MLS Cup and CONCACAF, which it was built for Inter Miami to reach it to the final. They played El Todopoderoso Sporting KC de Peter Vermes at the time. Then they have to face the 5-time Concacaf Champions Cavalier. They have one of the craziest finals ever against República Dominicana soccer club team. And then they lost to LAFC because I don't know how. They advanced defeating LAFC. I don't know how because Boanga, I don't know. He got
Your boy Boanga. Your boy Boanga.
And now that you
La
play,
fregó. Say that. We'll say that. La fregó.
He messed up. Now that you're playing a team that doesn't have stars, but they are a good team when they play, you're struggling. So, you have a lot to lose because you paying. Messi is getting $50 million, not because it's just to win trophies, to be the cover of MLS, to be the face of CONCACAF, to be the face for the FIFA World Club Cup, to be the face for FIFA World Cup 2026. So you have a lot to lose. The value of the players will go down if you don't reach to the final.
So I agreed with everything until that last part. I don't really think the value is going to make a difference for them if they make it to the final or not. Generally speaking, I don't think it's going to make a difference. But I agree with you. I agree with you that Mascherano was, look, I get what he's trying to say, and that Vancouver is the one that has to protect, or maybe protect's not the best word. Has to avoid losing the lead, right? That's Vancouver. Vancouver's in the pole position. They're the ones that have to avoid potentially giving up a comeback. So I get what he's trying to say, but to say that to try to say that the pressure is not on Inter Miami is disingenuous. And I think he knows that, and he was just trying to publicly paint a different picture to try to put more pressure on Vancouver so that maybe that tilts a little bit in Inter Miami's favor next week. But the general public took that quote, took that soundbite, and was like, what the hell is he talking about? And he got criticized for that type of remark. The pressure's on Inter Miami tomorrow. If they lose, if they don't, or even if they win, but if they don't advance, they failed. They failed in this series. They failed in this competition because they should not be losing to an MLS team, Alonso. If they played Tigres or they played a Liga MX team and they lost there, I don't think it's as big of a letdown or a disappointment. But to lose to an MLS team, to me, that is a bigger disappointment. That is a bigger disappointment. That is a bigger. Absolutely.
You know, like I just want to tell that over 200 people are watching us right now, almost 10 o'clock. That if Miami doesn't advance, don't be trying to look for the video for the post-game conference, because I can tell you right now what Mascherano is going to say. This is football. Life is life. You have to keep continuing forward. This is not a failure. This is how life.
But that's not going to happen, according to you. According to you, Inter Miami.
I wanted to win, of course, because I want the final is here. I'd rather to drive 3 hours than fly 3 hours. So, vamos, because if the final is not here, it's going to be in Mexico.
Well, if that happens, then you get un pollo a la brasa on my my check. Well, so we'll see. But speaking of Mascherano, right? Because again, that remark led to a lot of conversation. This past weekend, and this leads into tomorrow night, Inter Miami fielded a very reserve team. They didn't play most of their starters. If you want to argue that 2 starters played, it would be Peluca Falcon, who started at center back, and you could say Yannick Bright in midfield, although he and Redondo keep switching on and off. So Redondo started in the first leg against Vancouver, so clearly Yannick Bright isn't being seen as the first option, necessarily automatic first option right now. So this was Inter Miami's starting lineup against FC Dallas. And they played their usual 4-4-2. Drake Callender in goal. Defensive line from right to left. Your back line, Ian Frey, Gonzalo Lujan, Peluca Falcon, David Martinez. The midfield was Leo Afonso, Thomas Aviles. No, sorry. Benjamin Cremaschi. Perdón. Benjamin Cremaschi, Thomas Aviles, Yannick Bright, Fafa Pico, and then up top you had Leo Afonso and Alan Obando. Inter Miami actually goes down early in this game. 9-5-4 product, Broward County product. Shaquille Moore scores for FC Dallas, but Inter Miami gets a couple back. Right here it's showing that Fafa Pico got the goal, but I was pretty sure during the game, on game day, they had reverted it. Maybe they switched it back. But anyway, Pico or an own goal plus an Alan Obando finish get Inter Miami ahead. It's 2-1. They are sitting in a good position in the second half with this reserve team. But once Mascherano makes his substitutions, his first substitutions, everything goes downhill. He puts Inter Miami into a back 5. That invites pressure from FC Dallas. FC Dallas got a goal right before the first substitutions were made, so that made it 3-2. But once the substitutions are made and the team is pushed back into a deep block, FC Dallas then welcomed that invitation, and they ended up finding more space, and they end up winning the game, ending Inter Miami's unbeaten streak with 2 more goals. It all happened very, very quickly. It led to a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment at Chase Stadium this past Sunday evening. I understand it. We will listen to Mascherano here because he did take the blame in the post-game press conference. I don't think it's a big deal. I understand that there's frustration about Mascherano and what he did. But I don't think it's a big deal given the context of the game, right? Because they're playing with a starting lineup that has never played together, surely, because it's all the backups. David Martinez playing out of position, Leo Afonso playing in a different role.
Too.
Thomas Avila is playing as a defensive midfielder.
I think when he took Obando and put Allende.
I think the issue was when you take out Peluca and you're taking Peluca Falcon out because you are trying to keep him fresh for this midweek decisive do or die match, you lose the organizer in the defense. The veteran player que organiza, that gets everybody in place, that leads by example, that leads vocally, that puts his effort out there. Once you take him out, then you lose a lot. Now, did Mascherano also get it wrong by going with the back 5 to try to close the game out when there was still 20 minutes or so left? Yes, because it did invite pressure from an FC Dallas team that at that point, maybe they were getting a little bit better from the run of play, but they weren't showing a whole lot. But all that said, all of these scenarios, the rotated starting lineup, the decision to sub out Peluca Falcon, they're all impacted by this Wednesday's game. So in Spanish, we say, el partido estaba desnaturalizado. It wasn't a normal circumstance game from the beginning. And because of that, it leads to decisions that maybe normally don't take place or would not take place. I mean, if this was a do or die game, he's not taking up Peluca Falcon in the 60th minute to rest him for Wednesday, right? So it's hard to fully be 1,000% critical of Mascherano for it. He did get it wrong. Hopefully it serves as a learning lesson for him going forward to maybe not be so defensive minded when he's trying to shut out a game of this manner where they're clearly on the way to the finish line. But I think it does play a factor that his game plan for Wednesday limited him as to what changes he could make. He didn't have a full arsenal of decisions. But anyway, after the game, he offered a mea culpa. He took on the responsibility and pointed to himself for the loss while lauding his players for the effort they put forth. So let's listen to that soundbite.
La verdad, nada para reprochar, se brindaron al máximo. Hay muchos chicos que no venían teniendo minutos. Caso de David Martínez. Caso de Leo Afonso, bueno, Allen Obando, no es fácil entrar, no es fácil cuando cambias y pones prácticamente todos chicos que no vienen jugando juntos y la predisposición y la ilusión y el deseo han hecho que durante 65, 70 minutos el equipo la verdad estuvo bien, esa es la realidad. Lamentablemente el 3-2, cuando menos pensábamos que nos podían convertir, cuando teníamos todo a favor, nos hizo mucho daño y te vuelvo a repetir, hoy es mi responsabilidad y es mi culpa de no haberlo podido ayudar a los jugadores con los cambios necesarios o la lectura del partido para poder alcanzar la victoria.
The most telling part of the quote is the end where he says, it's my fault, it's my responsibility that we didn't come out with the win, either be it through proper reading of the game or through the necessary substitutions. So he takes on the blame. I respect that. I respect that from Mascherano. Whereas other head coaches, especially one in particular, Phil Neville, who would always throw his players under the bus, never really took on the responsibility or accountability for defeats. He did it here and there, but it always felt forced. And it was
He
always
lost in
after.
Portland too.
It was always after he was criticized too by at least the members of Miami Total Football Radio, the show. Anytime we criticize Phil Neville for a lack of accountability, shortly thereafter, if they lost again, you would hear him kind of take accountability. I won't say that we're the reason why, but you can, there's some correlation there. Anyway, I like that from Mascherano. I respect that. He's a young coach. He makes mistakes just like the players make mistakes. You got to learn from them. Again, this was pretty much a meaningless game in the general context of things in the regular season. So if it's going to happen, better to happen there than in a do or die match. So maybe, hopefully for his sake and for Inter Miami's sake, it serves as a lesson learned. Anonymous says when Mascherano gets nervous about the game, he goes into full park the bus mode. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, maybe that's just his natural reaction. It's his instinctual response. But maybe now he starts to think about it a little bit more. Maybe. Alonso. One thing to talk about from this game, besides the substitutions, I mean, who made the biggest impression? It's probably Ian Frey at right back, because he's involved in both of the lead up to Inter Miami's first 2 goals. Takes on his defender very well on one sequence, nutmegs the player, gets a little bit lucky on the nutmeg. I'm not gonna lie, it hit the guy's leg, but it still went through. So not a clean nutmeg, but whatever. All the same, he took on the player, whips in across. That FC Dallas defense. No, that's the second goal. Sorry. And then whips in across that leads to a skirmish in the box or some helter-skelter play. Fafa Pico ends up smashing it in at the doorstep. Officially, just so that I'm clear, Fafa Pico has been credited with the goal, Alonso, so you were right. In the game, Fafa Pico was credited with the goal. Shortly thereafter, they changed it to an own goal to Shaq Moore. Apparently, the MLS stat keepers switched it back to Fafa Pico. So officially, Fafa Pico's goal. Ian Frey then later in that first half whips in another good cross. I won't say good cross. Whips in another cross. This one, FC Dallas's defense allows to take a step, to take a bounce, a hop in the penalty area, which you can't do. That allows Allen Obondo to get into position to stab the ball home. But all the same, Ian Frey made a case for himself, especially in those first 30 minutes. There's been a discussion since the start of the year, and it's still ongoing, especially after that performance. Who should be the starting right back for Inter Miami? Ian Frey or Chelo Weigand? Alonso, what are your thoughts?
Ian Frey, the best.
I would say it's tight and it's tough. And I think for Mascherano,
because
Chelo. I think for Mascherano it's Chelo. I think it's Chelo. Now, I'll say this.
For him it's Chelo, yeah.
But I'll say this. I'll say that. But I want to hear. Wait, hold on. I wanted you to continue, but you stayed quiet. So.
Oh.
But I want to make my opinion clear. I think Ian Frey is a hell of a player, and I've thought that since the moment I saw him play for Inter Miami a few years ago. But he's a natural center back, not a natural right back. Can he play that position fairly well? Yes, and he's a hell of a one-on-one defender.
Yeah,
but he doesn't. He's not a natural right back. He's not a natural.
But
right back.
You have center backs that the Mascherano is trusting, and then when you put Ian Frey, he responds well. I think he only have a decent game in Jamaica when he played Cavalier, but the field was like playing. I don't know. In any Sunday league match, but Ian Frey faster, more technical, have more besides the cross to Kremaski against Columbus. He's more intelligent when he have to cross the ball than Chelo. He showed last game, and I mean against Buanga, Chelo, he's not. He can be that number one choice when you have to play against good teams in this game coming up against Vancouver. You need Ian Frey, and you need to give him minutes on difficult games so he can adjust the experience and play better. But because if you put him tomorrow and he has a bad game, we cannot blame him because he needs experience. But he has been showing that he is the right player in that position.
Ace Lionel says Franco Frey is light years ahead of Cello's slow ass. Um, Look, I think Ian Frey's a very good player. I think he's got very good characteristics. And can he do the job at right back? Yes. Is he as good as Cello? Probably they're right there neck and neck for me. Maybe for you, Frey's light years ahead or a step or two ahead. I think they're right there. I think they're both close, not in terms of they do things differently. They're different types of players. What one does, the other one doesn't necessarily do. Is Frey probably the better all-around player, the more talented player? Yes, but he's not a natural right back. Cello is. And on the play that you mentioned, Alonso, against Columbus Crew, what is that? 2 weekends ago, Cello again projects forward like a right back should. And why does he do that? Because he feels the game that way. He's a natural right back. Like that play, you're not seeing.
But he has to take an Uber to go back.
That's true, but you're not going to see Ian Frey make that play, right?
But he made it in Dallas.
No. But there's a completely different type of play.
Why?
Una jugada diferente.
But he went. He went all the way up.
And that's another thing. Ian Frey in this game didn't have Jordi Alba on the opposite flank starting, right?
He took charge.
If he was in the starting team, right? If he took Cello away against spot, he's not getting forward as much because it's Jordi Alba on the left side is the one that has to get forward. The right back becomes more stay at home. But I still don't think, in my opinion, that he is as good at asociándose. He's not as good as being involved in the what's the word for that in English? He doesn't get involved in the collective buildup as fluidly. He's not as good in that way. Whereas Cello finds those quick combination passes, gets the ball moving. There was one horrendous pass that Ian Frey had in the first half where he played it to an FC Dallas player at midfield. And luckily, FC Dallas just wasted the possession that they got from it. But I think it's things like that Mascherano counts against him and why Cello continues to be perceived as the number one. Again, I think it's pretty close. But I think for me, if I have to go between a very good player who's defensively solid, but isn't as good in the collective buildup over the natural right back who is better in the collective buildup, maybe not as good defensively, I'm probably going with the natural right back. That's just me.
Because if Cello cannot defend, put him as a winger then.
But no, he's not as good. He's not good enough in the attack. Mike V says Frey is better than Cello. Ace Lionel says no matter what Frey does, he'll never be good enough for Franco. I think he's a great player. I think there's a case to be made that he could start at center back. He's just not a natural right back.
But another thing that I just remember that I noticed on Vancouver first leg, they were beating a lot on the crosses to Inter Miami. So it's because the center backs are not at all either. So Vancouver make a lot of headers. So I don't know. That's why you can use Ian Frey.
Again, if I think there's a case for him to play center back, I think he can do it well. And I'm not saying he can't play right back well. I just think if they're that close, they're not neck and neck, I think you go with the natural option, in my opinion. And Alonso, that leads us to start wrapping up Wednesday night's game. We're back to Wednesday night. Who do you start? No, not who do you start, because I don't want you to misinterpret the question. Who does Javier Mascherano start on Wednesday night? Is it as simple as best case 11, Redondo in for Bright in the midfield, Cello at right back? Is it the usual suspects? Tadeo Allende did not train during the first 15 minutes.
No. Yes.
But he did.
Calendar is out because his sensations again.
Supposedly.
Yeah, he won't be tomorrow.
No, he's not going to be there tomorrow. But
He didn't
Alonso.
train today.
Okay, but Alonso.
Dime.
Allende, I mean, do we believe he's going to be ready to start tomorrow?
Yes.
So he doesn't warm up, but he trained, but
It's an Argentina team, bro. South America.
that's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. If you were perfectly fine, you wouldn't have to not warm up with the rest of the team.
Bro, no. Sometimes, look, you might be, let's say Allende doesn't start. Yeah, perfect. But if Allende start, it's because they want to trick. I mean, they want to trick your mind. Hey, let's ask for Allende. They're gonna ask for Allende in the post conference on the press conference. So Vancouver might be like, oh, Allende's not playing. So it's many things, man. It's South America soccer. That's how they are.
I don't know. He did say that Allende took a hit against FC Dallas, and that they had to activate him because it's a term that they use when they're warming up. They have to activate him differently. I mean, I haven't seen Tadeo Allende, just like Velasco Segovia, play particularly well as of late. Circumstances are different. Tadeo Allende picked up an injury against Atlanta, came back from that, and hasn't looked particularly good. But I think Mascherano's going to go, with all his horses, the best team that he thinks he has available. So what does that mean? And you can, when we get to a certain position, if you disagree with me, then we can have that conversation. Ustadi in goal. I think Chelo starts at right back. Do you disagree with me?
No.
Okay.
Mascherano.
Okay. Peluca Falcon.
Allen.
Noah Allen. Jordi Alba. That's pretty clear, the back five for us, for what Mascherano will do, not what we would do. Midfield four. No, from right to left, my friend. We go from right to left. Tadeo Allende.
Left to right in the army. Yeah.
Tadeo Allende. Okay. Sergio Busquets. Federico Redondo, I think, starts. I think Mascherano's starting him. Because he started him in the first leg. Didn't start him against FC Dallas. He started Yannick Bright against FC Dallas. So clearly wasn't saving Yannick Bright for this weekend, at least in my opinion. So I think Redondo gets the start. You think Bright gets the start?
Bright.
Why Bright and not Redondo?
Because Bright is like we used to call back in the day, un perro, a dog. So you can free Busquets a little bit and just know that Bright is the style of play when at the Mascherano level, but the style, recover the ball, pass the ball, recover the ball, pass the ball. And when you're gonna attack because you need the goals, you need to have someone like Bright that he can run the entire field, recover the ball, and just pass the ball. You don't want something like Redondo that think about his career, then he look at the stance, and then he make the pass and he lose the ball. No, you need someone fast.
Isn't that counterintuitive, Alonso? If you need a team that can attack, wouldn't you put the better attack-minded player? Or are you telling me?
But you need someone to sacrifice.
So you're saying that in an effort to balance out the team's need to attack while also not leaving everything exposed at the back, that Yannick Bright gets the start.
Yeah, because is Bright faster than Falcon?
Is he faster? I mean, I don't know why you always just come down to speed. It's not always about speed.
No, because in counter attacks you need speed. If you're gonna put all your team forward to score, regardless how is your mind defensive or whatever, you're gonna leave a lot of space. Now, I don't think Brian White is as fast as Boanga or other fast forward, but you cannot leave the line exposed. Someone that be like ahí agarrándote, holding you,
But that's a big decision. Then. It's the first position, maybe besides right back, that we're not clear on what the plan is tomorrow.
I mean, but I go with you because let's be honest, you the subject expert man.
No, but you don't have to go with me just because I say it. You can have your opinion.
Because you 24/7.
I just think that if Redondo got the start in the first leg, that means that he was trying to be Mascherano was trying to be attack-minded or more attack-minded, right? Because if you have Yannick Bright in there, Yannick Bright is good at recovering the ball, right?
Yeah,
la recuperación de la pelota, pero no quizás no es alguien que es muy bueno en la generación del fútbol, o ni en la
Yeah,
menos
but
en la
that's what I'm
menos en
saying.
la
If you're gonna
creación,
put, if
right?
you're
So
gonna, you need to
good in ball
release your stress.
recovery, good in ball recovery,
Yes.
not great in ball distribution, and not great in
Yeah,
chance
but
creation.
10 yards past.
So if you need a attack-minded team, I get what you're saying. I understand. You need someone to help you give a balance. You can't just go all out attack, all gun ho, and then just hope and pray that nothing happens at the back. So I get the thought process. I just don't see. I don't see it, man. I think Mascherano will, for better or for worse, go not full throttle from the start, but go with the most attack-minded team that he thinks he has. So I think Redondo starts. Some people agree with me. Some people agree with you here in the comment section. The Dude Abides, which I think is the first time the Dude Abide comments here on Miami Total Football Radio. So saludos, cheers to the Dude Abides, who says, no, sorry, Redondo and Cello will start because Masche is too stubborn. The Dude Abide adds, Masche likes Redondo better. Circus Fun 1 says, Redondo is not better than Bright. Francisco García, necesitan alguien que corra detrás de los delanteros de Vancouver en las contras. Daniel Monte says, Bright is better. What else? Who else we've got here? Circus Fun 1 says, bro, you can have your opinion until Franco says you can't. That's not true. I want Alonso to have his opinion.
Okay.
Bright upcode series. I think this is the first time upcode series comments. Bright is way better. And Francisco Garcia also says, ¿Quién le cubre la espalda abierta a Alba? Bright. It's an interesting football discussion, interesting soccer conversation. I think Mascherano goes with Redondo. I think it is a toss-up. You could see either way, but I think the telling sign was Redondo started Wednesday, Bright started on Sunday. If he had started Redondo on Sunday, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, definitely starting Yannick Bright on Wednesday.
Hey, before we continue, hey guys, if you're gonna go to the game tomorrow, just put your thumbs up. So if you see us walking around the stadium, you can say hi.
Yes.
Take a picture, $5. I need a gas to back home.
Alonso loves the interactions. All right. So left midfielder, Telasco Segovia. Up top, you have Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi. Both of them rested against FC Dallas. They weren't even in the matchday roster.
What about Fafa, bro?
Neither was Jordi Alba. No tiene el juego colectivo. No,
who cares? You need to attack. Put up.
Alonso. I'm not saying it's better or worse. Everybody views the game differently. Philosophically, everybody like thinks of football a different way. It's not like as black and white as the other.
I'm not saying you, but Mascherano is, in this game,
but it's not as black as white in other games, right? It's not as black and white as other sports.
He's gonna wait the 88 minutes to put.
Es Fafa un jugador que se mete a lo colectivo, like he's good at combining and knocking the ball. No, not really.
No, not really. But he can at least how you say arrastrar defensas. How you say?
Stretch the defense.
Yeah, you can say that because people is gonna think that he's gonna go for the speed, and he's gonna make that the defenders to hey, we better hold back because if we go forward, he's gonna burn us.
Ace Lionel asked me, Franco, who's your perfect midfielder for tomorrow's match? It's tough, man. It's tough. I don't like Allende's current level. I would not start him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe the one surprise that doesn't start. I wouldn't start Benjamin Cremaschi, but clearly Benjamin Cremaschi is like the next man up for Mascherano when it comes to the right side. I think that's a possibility, especially if you have to have that balance. What I think is telling Alonso, even though I do think Mascherano will try to field an attack-minded team, I think what he said, and you kind of reiterated today, is they have 90 minutes to score 2 goals. So that, to me, shows that they are not necessarily just going to come out swinging from the first minute.
I mean,
You know,
I just said it to
recklessly,
some-
recklessly. I know you said the same thing. You just borrowed the quote.
I know I just said it to sound cool because I wanted to win, so I can eat for free.
So I don't necessarily think they're just going to come out swinging recklessly and leaving a whole bunch of space in behind. I think that as
hold
the
on,
game,
hold on 1 second. That quote from Mascherano is a complete lie. The more minutes are going by and you're not scoring, the more nervous you're gonna be. So it's not you have 90 minutes. No, 90 minutes, my behind. You know, like you need to score the first 15 minutes. Or try to
No, I
go
mean,
try
they
to
don't
go to
have to.
halftime at 1-0. Come on.
if they win 2-0, then we have extra.
They're human
extra
beings,
football.
bro. Like the more minutes go forward, they're gonna feel pressure, long ball. It's gonna be easier for Vancouver. So they need to score as soon as they can. They need to go 1-0 at least to first half.
I think Inter Miami will try to be the protagonist tomorrow, and they'll try to
They have to
attack,
They-
but
they
I don't.
try.
But I don't think they're gonna come out recklessly. I don't think
No,
they're just gonna, van a salir con todo. No van a salir con todo.
I was to Vancouver practice, and those guys, I'm not saying they're like confident, but they're like, you know, like
They're
happy.
loose. They're loose. They're
They
light.
lose. Yeah, they lose. It's a different word.
I'll say this to wrap up on this preview, and it's something I talked about with some colleagues last week. Alonso, if you're Vancouver, how do you approach this game? Do you just
From Vancouver?
park the bus and hit on the counter whenever you can, or sales a jugar? Sales a jugar.
Look, this is what we do. I will tell my captain trying to win the coin toss, and we get the ball. We get the ball, and the first play, long ball to Inter Miami. Put my lines up, and that's it. Right there, pressure. You know, because they're gonna get desperate. They're gonna long balls and hey, just jump. I'm gonna make my first. You know, I'm gonna push them all the way forward. You know, and or if Miami gets the ball, the first ball that we get back, long ball, and put the lines up and pressure them. You know, this is not tiki taka time. You know, the if you can mark Busquets, if you can, Messi's lost, Suarez is lost.
I will say this. I will say
Don't part the bus.
I
Don't be
don't-
afraid.
so.
You have the game.
Football, it's not black and white. There's shades of gray. There's
Yes, of course, but I mean,
so I don't think we should park the bus, right? I don't think
Yeah.
Vancouver should park the bus. I think Vancouver should be okay with letting Inter Miami have possession, but trying to play. Don't sit there and do what LAFC did, where they sat back, try to defend for behind the ball without ever really getting it. I think you have to fight for possession a little bit further up the field. You don't need to try to high press. I don't agree with you that go high press Inter Miami.
I look high press.
No, I think a mid block where you maybe don't necessarily try to win possession, but you also aren't inviting the pressure, and you try to play when you do have the ball. I think that's Vancouver's game plan. I think that's their best game plan. If they can do that and they can manage that, I think they win this game. I think they advance in this series, because I don't see how Inter Miami keeps them off the score sheet if they try to play. If they just let Inter Miami have the ball and attack them relentlessly, I mean, Inter Miami has the attacking talent where they can hurt you, right? Messi can score a goal from distance, or you could get a fortunate, or depending on your viewpoint, unfortunate bounce or call. So if you let Inter Miami have the ball to break you open or tear you apart, I mean, they can do that. They have the talent to do that. Tactically, you can say whatever you want about Mascherano's strategy. So if I'm Vancouver, I'm playing. Salvo a jugar, although
Yeah.
I'm not going gung-ho either. Ace Lionel says you're crazy to start Cello. I'm not starting Cello. I think Mascherano's starting Cello. Or he's responding to Daniel Montaigne, who says, this is my starting lineup: Ustari, Cello, Falcon, Allen, Alba, Allende, Busquets, Bright, Segovia, Messi, Suarez. So it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much. I mean, I do think there's a chance for Kremaski. All right, Alonso, prediction. Give me a score for tomorrow.
3-0.
Inter Miami.
Of course.
Well, I bet that Inter
Go
Miami.
big or home, bro. Go big or home.
Inter Miami wins. I'm sorry.
See,
Three-
you wanna pay the Apoyadoras, yeah.
3-2. 3-2.
Ah,
Inter
they
Miami-
win the game.
They win the game, but they don't advance. They don't advance. I think
Pobrecito.
it's a tough task. And Tom says 2-1 Miami. So if they got a 2-1, they would not advance. Up goes as best case 2-0. Then we go to penalty kicks. Okay, Alonso, I said I was going to keep it tight. We should wrap up there, but we have one last talking point to bring up about Inter Miami. It's not about the game. It's just about two moves that were made before the trade deadline. Robert Taylor, no longer a member of Inter Miami. He was traded to Austin FC before the deadline for a shitload of allocation money. And Julian Gressel is on his way to Minnesota United after being waived by Inter Miami. There's more we can dissect, although I guess it won't really make much of a difference going forward. But
Calendar next, huh?
but both players out at Inter Miami. Robert Taylor's a very good player. I think he'll do well in Austin, but clearly he just, again, another player, you talked about Fafa, another player who just doesn't fit the style. He's not collectively, doesn't
Yeah, but
play.
you have Brandon Vasquez at truly number 9. So
okay, but we're talking about Robert Taylor's a winger. We're talking about here in
yeah,
Miami.
that's what I'm saying, but you just fit him.
Is Robert Taylor better than Benjamin Kremaski? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. But Robert Taylor is gone and Benjamin Kremaski is not. So Robert Taylor didn't get that many minutes. Robert Taylor can score. Robert Taylor's a threat, pero no tiene el juego asociado. He's more direct, more European style. So he was surplus to requirements, wasn't getting a lot of minutes. I had a listener that was arguing with me about a month ago saying that Robert Taylor was considered an important player on this team. And I told him, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, proof is in the pudding. Not considered an important player when you get traded away. Julian Gressel on the way to Minnesota. Clearly, I think he had a purpose. I think there was a role for him last year. There's stuff he did well without being incredible. But clearly Mascherano didn't rate him. Wasn't playing at all. And now he's on the way to Minnesota. In his podcast, he talked about it being a trade, which it ultimately did not end up being. He ended up getting waived. He actually recorded, he says it at the beginning of his podcast. He recorded the podcast before the move was official. So I guess some of the terms that he was expecting didn't play out the way they were going to, because the move happened after the trade deadline. But anyway, he's no longer an Inter Miami member. So there you go. Two players that were not part of Mascherano's vision, no longer here. You can start to see players going out, means players will be coming in. All right. So Kay says, I respect the delusion because we all know Miami isn't pulling it off. Upcode says, if we lose tomorrow, is Mascherano's job in trouble? No.
Yes.
No. Alonso, Jose Mas, David Beckham will be disappointed, but they'll be like, it's the beginning of the project with Mascherano in charge. We still got bigger fish to fry, the Club World Cup. We need to hit firing all cylinders by the end. Nothing's happening. Nothing happening to him if they don't advance tomorrow. All right, we will leave it there. We're doing better on time. We didn't do as good on time as I wanted to. We went a little bit too long, 10 minutes too long, but that's fine. It's a work in progress. We will be back Thursday. I don't know if Alonso will be back, although I will be back on Thursday with hopefully Jose and Andrea. If they lose, probably Andrea. If they win, Jose. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe they win, but they don't advance. So then maybe Andrea will show up. I don't know. But we'll leave it there. We'll be back on Thursday night to recap, analyze, dissect, discuss, debate what happens tomorrow night. If you're going to the stadium, have a hell of a good time. Should be another great game, another intense game. Last game against LAFC, everybody was on the edge of their seat, even the neutrals in the press box. It was a hell of a spectacle. So hopefully we get more of that type of match tomorrow. So we will leave it there for now. Thank you all for tuning in, either live on the show if you're watching or if you're listening to this after the fact on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, or even Wednesday afternoon on the way to the stadium. For Alonso Contreras, I am Franco Panizo. You have been watching and listening to Miami Total Futbol Radio, the show. We will talk to you guys again in a couple days.